front page of today's Times newspaper, which is an interesting juxtaposition. Tory retreat from green policies to woo voters, it says, next to a startling image of tourists fleeing a wildfire in Rhodes. Fires are raging across several parts of Greece, forcing many tourists and locals to evacuate following weeks of extreme heat across the world. But both of Britain's leading parties appear to have decided that unravelling green policy could be a vote winner. PM Rishi Sunak sees it as a recovery plan after two bruising by-election defeats. Labour Party, meanwhile, is blaming London Mayor Sadiq Khan's anti-pollution policy for failing to win Boris Johnson's old seat in Uxbridge. So
I don't think there's any doubt that ULEZ was the reason that we lost the by-election in Uxbridge. And I have said we should reflect on this, including the Mayor. I've spoken to him, as you would expect, and so there will be that reflection.
So is the Green agenda worth trading for an electoral band-aid, or is it merely covering up a popularity crisis for both leaders? I'm joined by Conservative MP and TalkTV presenter Nadine Dorries and the Daily Mirror's Associate Editor Kevin Maguire. So, Kevin, before we get into the weeds on this, pollution, right? I know that Sadiq Khan's ULEZ policy has not proved very popular, probably because of the way it's been executed and it doesn't quite work. I've got to say, though, on pollution in London, I'm 100% behind him. And I'll tell you why. For the last 5 years, I thought I had really bad hay fever every year. Turned out it was all pollution. I got 4 air purifiers in my house. I shut the windows. I check an app every morning. I only go out when it's reasonable. And as a result, I've had 0 symptoms when the pollen count's apparently been raging and people have been suffering from hay fever. I'm a complete convert. I found out that 1 in 12 people in Kensington and Chelsea Borough die from pollution-related illness. I was shocked. Yep. But I'm also shocked by the benefit to my health by taking pollution more seriously.
Yeah, if it was a virus causing so many deaths, 40,000 people a year dying...
Well, we know what would happen. We've just been through that.
Exactly. The government would really be reacting. Opposition parties would be piling in. But I think because they're individual deaths, they're almost ignored, although there was a case last year, a coroner found a young girl had died of pollution. Look, the plan in London is to get the dirtiest cars off the road. It's fewer than 1 in 10 in those outlying areas. Now, I understand you're in a cost of living crisis, while some people will clearly kick back against that. I understand it. I think the fear is more widespread because people don't realise you could have a petrol car 16 years old and you won't have to pay this £12.50 a day charge. You can have a diesel 8 years old and you won't have to pay this charge. Now, charging is crude, no question about it, but we have to clean air. It's not just about global warming, it is about the air you breathe.
Nadine, I do think there are lots of issues around this whole green debate. But on this issue of pollution, I do think Sadiq Khan's heart is in the right place. I was really shocked by the impact on my health that I had year after year after year until I took pollution more seriously. And it was pollution.
I completely agree with you. And in fact, I think what it demonstrates, this very sudden conversion of both party leaders to suddenly pedalling back from these green policies and net zero particularly, it just shows a paucity of ambition. They're scared as a result of what happened last week with the by-elections. Nobody was really a winner in any of those by-elections. They're scared and they've actually seized on what happened in Uxbridge and think this is the populist wave which is riding through Westminster right now. We need to jump on it. If it was ULEZ, that's going to work in the rest of the country, and of course it won't. And, you know, if anybody under the age of 40, kids in school today, this is what they care about. They care about net zero and policies which benefit the environment for the very reasons you articulated, mainly to do with health and to do with the future of the planet. But it's a pretty tragic state of affairs that we find ourselves in when a few days after a by-election, it is the ULEZ policy which is interpreted as a silver bullet.
Yeah, and I thought I was a bit disappointed from Keir Starmer. Yeah. And I'm disappointed by Rishi Sunak too about this. You've got to take these issues seriously. I think a lot of the problem is they overpromise, they set the targets that can't be hit. Actually, we know we've got to move to a place, right, where we are less reliant on fossil fuels. We've got to move to cleaner air. Yeah. So how are we going to do this while we don't lose tons of jobs and it doesn't cost everyone money they haven't got? Yeah. That's the calculation.
Yeah, and how you can transition, the most prosperous and easiest way possible has got to be the goal. But, you know, what do party leaders really stand for? They stand for winning the election. Right. And that's what we're seeing.
What do these by-elections tell you about where we really are here? Because Keir Starmer can't have been that happy.
Yeah, but hang on. If you're Keir Starmer, you've overturned a 20,000 majority in Selby, in North Yorkshire. The Liberal Democrats have overturned.
But you didn't win the seat you really thought you were going to win.
But the direction of travel, the momentum in British politics was seen in Selby, which Labour won, and Summit and Frome, which the Liberal Democrats took for the Tories, not in Uxbridge, where there was a specific local issue in outer London. And I think Keir Starmer is in danger of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
And you don't have that local issue across 650 constituents.
Where do you think we are politically as a country right now? Do you think is it inevitable that Labour will win the next election?
No, actually it's not. And it's not for a very important reason, which most people seem to, I think, just don't acknowledge. I think if Angela Rayner was leader of the Labour Party, that would be a far more dead cert of happening than it is with Keir Starmer. There is no love for Keir Starmer. And I remember being out on the doorstep in 97, you know. As a Conservative, people hated. I got spat on the doorstep. That isn't happening now. And the reason why they hated us was they didn't hate us so much as loved Tony Blair. It was Tony Blair.
You could argue in 92.
It wasn't particularly the
you could argue in 92 Neil Kinnock was more popular and more
until
charismatic
the last 2 days
than Keir Starmer.
Yeah, but he's lost in 87. I mean, I remember 92, and I never thought Labour would win.
No,
I think the reason a Labour victory isn't inevitable.
They were further ahead at this stage of the cycle.
Yeah, it's because the next election's not 70 or 80 weeks until
Right.
away, isn't it? And as Harold Wilson said, a week is a long time in politics. And as Harold Macmillan, the Conservative Prime Minister, said, events.
And as Nadine Dorries said to me on this very show, I am quitting as a Conservative Member of Parliament. And here you are. We must play the clip, actually. Go on. Are you actually going to quit as an MP?
Yeah, I've resigned.
There's no way back. Some people think you may change your mind, that you were being a bit hot-headed.
No.
Yeah. So that was June. You're still here. You're still a Conservative MP.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. So Neil
You just
Kinnock...
whispered quietly, shall I announce what I'm doing? Go on then. Come on.
No, I'll do that on my own show. Thank you very much.
Wow.
So
Are you staying?
Can we stop the Neil Kinnock
Are you
point?
staying?
Neil Kinnock.
Hang on, are you staying?
No.
You are definitely leaving.
Definitely.
When?
You'll hear all about it on the
Soon.
on the Friday Night with Nadine show.
which is not back on until September.
Let me make this point. Neil Kinnock was actually riding high until the Sheffield rally, which was about 3 days before the 92 election.
Yeah,
he was on
Things can happen.
course to win.
I think that symbolised what was going on. People had doubts about him, unfortunately.
Well, we will see. I still think it's everything to play for. I really do. I think if Rishi Sunak got a bit of steam behind him and the economy starts to come back quite strongly, anything could happen.
There's a lot of
Conversely, if neither of those two things happen, you could get flatline.
I think the anti-Tory mood has taken hold.
Have you seen Barbie yet, you two?
No.
I'm going tomorrow night.
You are?
Yeah, I'm outraged the way they're using my body double as Ken.
I heard it was your brain double. Oh. Nadine, have you seen it?
I never said that. No.
Do you like Barbie? You're a Barbie fan?
I'm not a Bobby fan and not a Bobby fan. I'm neither, but I haven't seen it now.
Do you think you're being suppressed by the patriarchy? Exactly. Exactly my point. You didn't have to say a word. Nadine, great to see you. Look forward to your announcement on your show on Friday. Nadine, great